so we have gone live. So now let me go live here. We can add the title later. Okay, so we are now live and we are streaming. However, nobody hears you right now. Once more, welcome everybody. We have a set of questions here that we are going to be asking you, and you respond to the questions. It is a joint effort between the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education and UNICEF. Of course, for the others who may not know, the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education is online, and the country representative for UNICEF is also here. Then we have others. So I am hosting. I am Ibrahim Sheriff, the communication specialist. So I will ask you specific questions after I introduce the program, and then we'll go ahead. All right? So let me get you on the screen. So at any point in time, if you are not talking, you please mute your phone or mute your Google Meet, your microphone, so that way you don't, because once you are talking, you will be the one that will appear on the screen. So, all right, so I think we are set. Okay, so I'm going live. They can hear you if you say anything now. I'm going to go live now. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the globe. My name is Ibrahim Sheriff, and I am the communication specialist of the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education in Sierra Leone. Today, we are coming to you live from our headquarters based in New England, Freetown. Of course, this is a live Facebook Live session, panel discussion we are having today in collaboration with UNICEF on a school reopening. Of course, as many of you are aware, the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education announced the reopening of schools for primary, junior secondary, and senior secondary schools throughout the country on Monday, the 5th of October, 2020. And so we know there is COVID-19 in the country, just as it is affecting other countries. And so today we want to talk about some of the preparations that we have done as a country, as a government, as a ministry, and of course, as development partners, what we have done together to get our schools prepared to receive the children so they can continue to learn. And that is exactly what we are going to do here today. So today is a panel discussion that we are going to have, and our panelists are going to be from various walks of life. Of course, leadership of the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, represented by the Minister Honorable Dr. David Moinina Senge. He's here with us. Dr. Senge, you want to say just hi so people can know that you are here? Hello, Doc.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, Good afternoon, everyone.
Sure. That's Dr. Senge, Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. Of course, we also have the country representative for UNICEF on the panel, Dr. Suleiman Brimo. Dr. Suleiman Brimo, you want to say hi to the people?
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here.
All right. Thank you, sir, for coming. And of course, we also have other panelists who are going to be here. We have Teresa, who is going to be representing the Sierra Leone Teachers Union. Teresa, are you online? You want to say hi?
Yeah, hi everybody. How are you?
Of course, thank you very much. We have other panelists who are 15-year-old students who are also going to participate here. I would just want them to introduce themselves in no particular order. Can you introduce yourself?
Sorry, you going first?
Students, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, viewers.
And what's your name?
I'm called by Kamala, the people of the Venezuela Academy.
Okay. And so you want to put your camera in such a way that we can see you. Right now, we only see your head. Thank you, Yeno, for joining us. I know Salumatu is here. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Salimata England and I'm attending the annual Memorial School.
Okay. We have any other student on the line? Okay. And we were also to have a representative from the civil society organization. I'm not sure if he's here yet. Anybody from civil society? Okay, not quite yet. So for now, these are some of the panelists we have. As we go along, it is possible we may have more people to join us as we go along with this conversation. Just like I have introduced the program, today we are going to talk about the school reopening and what are some of the preparations we have done. And so far, I want to start this conversation by inviting if you don't mind, schools have been closed for more than 7 months. How has this period been for you and your peers since schools closed?
Well, it has been tough, if I could say, because the studies haven't been that effective compared to when we were going to school. Because when we were going to school, it was compulsory to sit in class or to be around that school vicinity for hours, learning in a highly secured compound. So the studies there was compulsory, but at home, the monitoring isn't that much compared to when we were going to school. And yeah, I feel the studies weren't that effective. And the existing relationships we had with our friends, we have to strengthen it when we get back to school. Because when we're at home, we didn't have chance to talk with all our friends, and sometimes we're always at home in boredom rather, because we didn't often have to go out. That's it.
Right. Okay, so let me bring Salmata in. Salmatu, can you please tell us about your experiences being at home during this period?
Well, at home it has been a challenge to even take your book to read because the domestic works will not give you a chance to even have time to read your book. And even if you have the time, you'll be tired by that hour you take your book to read. So it has been exhausting and challenging, and we are so happy that school is going to be reopened.
Okay, so when you were home, Salmatu, I know there was such a lot of work that you did, but did you at any point in time listen to the radio teaching program that was being broadcast by Education Radio?
Not really, because we do not have radio at home, so I did not have the chance. I just have the chance to read my textbooks that I have.
Okay, okay, I got that. All right. And so what do you miss most in school? Like when you were home, what did you miss?
From school,
Yeah.
my relationship with friends, the interaction, because when I'm at home, I'm alone with my siblings and I don't get, that relationship I have with my friends with them. So I also miss the teachings because I feel no radio teaching can replace the teacher. When we're at school, we understand better because we get to ask them questions where we are stuck and we feel more comfortable because we have developed that bond with them. And so we can understand better when they are teaching us personally. But on the radio, we try to understand because we listen to these programs, but yet no radio teaching can replace the teacher. So I miss that,
Okay, so you missed that a lot. Right.
Yep.
Okay, so let me bring in our Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, who is the leader championing basic education in Sierra Leone at this present moment. So, Mr. Minister, after 7 months of closure because of COVID-19, schools across Sierra Leone will reopen on the 5th of October 2020. You please want to give us an update as to what the ministry has done in preparation for the school reopening?
Yeah, thank you. Hearing Salimata and Yena speak is exactly why we're opening schools in a safe and in a manner that allows for people to continue to learn. And I think the key that they referenced, where one does not have radio, so even when we introduce solutions like online learning or hybrid systems and radio learning, you can't reach everybody, and you can have all the content there is. If Salimata doesn't have a radio, she's not going to benefit from it. And so our approaches have been that we employ hybrid systems, radio, course, physical materials that pupils can have, and if they didn't have, how we provide those physical materials for them, online learning. And then Yena mentioned the relationships with friends. You can't teach empathy, you can't teach care, you can't teach, there are many things you can't teach online or on the radio. For somebody to learn empathy, you have to be in a space where you see a friend be hurt, fall in a football field, and you feel for them when they are in pain. You have to have your friend tell you in person, see them cry, see them laugh, see them celebrate, see them have joy. That's what empathy is. That's the kind of learning, wholesale learning that we care about within the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education and as a government. And so and teaching, right? So in-person teaching and being able to have mentorship. It's not just the material and the content, it's the mentorship and the relationship and the bond. So using higher language, relationship and bond. What we did as the ministry during COVID was we did revamp these distance learning technologies, and we, in many instances, brought radio. We brought physical radio to people in riverine areas and far areas. Not everybody could benefit from it. Sorry, Salimata, we didn't bring you a radio, but we gave it to a couple thousand girls across the country, and nearly not enough, and we're hoping that we can expand and continue to expand this. And in fact, with our partnership with UNICEF, some of the conversations that we're doing now is how we not just have more radios, but how we enhance continuous professional development as well for radio teaching. And I'm sure the rep will speak to that, or can speak to that. We reopened schools, partial reopening for about 400,000 kids who were taking exams for GS Class 6, GSS 3, and WAS. And we had 0 cases, right, in COVID, and that's because we ensured that people had masks. And I think we just launched, as part of our planning, a Make Your Mask Challenge. So Salimata and Yena, I see you have masks. If you made this mask, great. You can apply, and outcomes people can tell you about the Make Your Own Mask Challenge. We're ensuring that within our guidelines and framework, everybody's wearing masks. People are having abilities to wash their hands using wash facilities that, again, we've distributed with our partners. We have thermometer checks in buses and all school environments. We have physical distancing that we've established for food vending stations. We have protocols that tell us how we close classes, how we close schools, how we close catchment areas, depending on the cases. At the heart of this is that we're using data. We're using Sierra Leone's data. We're using best practices, and we are focusing on prevention. We have 3 goals. One, that there can be 0 transmission on school campuses or at school. But if there's a transmission, that we can quickly curtail that transmission, know everybody, and break this chain. And third, that we can communicate actively with pupils and parents and community. that's the framework that we presented to. And that framework was built with our partners, with stakeholders, civil society, and it was endorsed by the Presidential Task Force on COVID on Wednesday.
Right. Okay.
And that's why we're opening schools.
Right. So definitely the ministry has done quite a lot for preparing schools for the reopening. And of course, I was also part of that meeting where the minister took leadership to ensure that our children are safe returning to school. And so I want to bring in Dr. Suleiman Brimo, who is the country representative for UNICEF in Sierra Leone. And so, Dr. Brimo, if I can ask you, why do you think it is important to reopen schools even though we still have COVID-19 in Sierra Leone?
Thank you very much for that question. I think it is a very, very important question. It's something that our listeners out there and partners are interested in. Now, let's make it very clear that the opening of schools does not imply at any point in time or in any way whatsoever that the COVID pandemic is over, number one. Number two, what has happened is that the Ministry of Education, led by the Honorable Minister, together with partners, including UNICEF, what has happened is that we have looked at and weighed the current situation in relation to the best interest of children of Sierra Leone. Now, one of the reasons why it's important that after 7 months of closure, that children should get back to school is the fact that disruptions to instructional time for students has very, very severe long-term impact on learning. Do not forget that children generally have a window of formative years. Nobody is in formative years forever. So it's important that those negative, unfortunately we don't have a lot of time here to go into these or the negative impacts of not learning on children, but a lot of them are very well known. But the important thing is that disruptions of instructional time have long-term impact. So opening schools is one way of ensuring that those long-term impacts are mitigated and they are not allowed to have, children are not allowed to encounter them. That's number one. Number two, do not forget that we have challenges in Sierra Leone, like in many other countries. It's not unique to Sierra Leone by any means, that a good number of children are out of school. We are, for many reasons, and including challenges and the protections they enjoy. We do know for a fact that the longer children are kept out of school, the higher the probability that some of them will not return to school. So one of the things we need to do to ensure that children get back to school is to open the schools and get them going. Then in Sierra Leone, it was demonstrated during the Ebola crisis. In many other countries, it's been demonstrated that when you have emergencies like this, there is a greater risk, because children are out of school, there's a greater risk for situations like teen pregnancy, sexual exploitation, child marriage, and violence, and what have you. So it's important that children go back to school as a strategy for us to be able to mitigate these things, these potential harms that come the way of children. Of course, we just listened to one of our young colleagues, our friends here, saying that one of the challenges they had when the schools were closed was the fact that they could not interact. And the Honorable Minister did refer to the fact that part of the challenges you have in schools, with closure of schools, is that it reduces the opportunities for children to develop the way they should develop, including with respect to emotional intelligence, empathy, and stuff like that. So one of the things, clearly, that happens, negative impacts, again, is that school closures, we know for a fact, tend to generate mental health issues due to the stress and anxiety associated with them. So opening schools is one way, again, to ensure that those stressful and anxiety situations are adequately handled and the effects prevented from doing damages to children. And do not forget that schools can also, in any way you think about it, schools are actually instrumental vehicles, or they are strong vehicles for the modeling of good hygiene practices, which, in spite of the fact that which have very strong impacts on the protection of children from COVID-19 and other diseases. So in addition to all those other things we've talked about, the fact that schools are reopening, we have an opportunity to expose children and communities at large through those children to good hygiene practices that they can take home and take into the wider community and help fight COVID-19. Let me leave it at that for this moment. And but these are general ideas. These are general points on why it's important that we reopen schools as fast as possible, particularly given the progress that has been made in fighting COVID-19 in Sierra Leone.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doc. That was well put in place. And so I want to talk to the Sierra Leone Teachers Union representative. We have Teresa Agnes here on the line. So Teresa, talking on behalf of the Sierra Leone Teachers Union, what are some of the general fears and expectations of teachers as we go to October 5 when our schools reopen?
Thank you. Well, actually, come October 5, some of the fears is that these kids in some of those government schools, we have a lot of kids in the classrooms. We are thinking of the social distancing, how it's going to be, if there's going to be a more adequate materials, let's say furniture and all the rest of it, so that we can space them properly. Because if you can remember, when we started schooling this 1 month for this SS, the WAS, the BECE, and the NPSC, because we only have that particular class, there were enough space for them, enough spacing, and also we were able to implement the washing of hands, and also having the system put in place because there are no much kids on the ground. But for now, we have the October 5 coming, we have the entire system, the entire PPs coming on board. That is one of the fears we are having. How are we going to cope with such a large number coming in by October 5?
Right, okay. So definitely I see that, because every time I am on, I'm at the media with teachers or Australian teachers, they express these fears. And so let me talk to Salmatu. Salmatu, how was your learning being affected by being away from school for this long?
Well, it has been affected in so many ways. One of them is that you forgot some of your notes. You forget the way they teach you, like because of the way you stayed at home, the time you took at home. Some of us do not have, our parents don't have money to take extra classes. So because of that, you stay at home, and some of us, the children, our parents don't have time for us to, check on us if we are studying or not. So if you don't study, you just have even what the teachers have taught you in the classroom, you forget all of these things. So these are the challenges. You forgot the teachings the teachers teach you. You don't have time for your book, and your parents don't have time for you to check whether you study or not.
Right. So two things I learned from you, Salmatu, is that when you stay home that long, not going to school, there is the tendency that you forget about everything that they taught you in school. And
Yes.
also there is the need for parents to continue to pay attention to you as a child, to keep reminding you, at least take your book, read, those kind of things, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think that is very important. If there are parents listening, it's a very important message that is coming from Salma too. So, let me ask you, as schools reopen on the 5th of October, trying to go back to school, what are some of the things you are expecting to happen in school, and what are some of your fears?
Um, I'm expecting that we maintain the COVID-19 protection practices, that everything is being put in place. There's correct spacing, and also we wash our hands and we always have our face masks on. And I expect that the teaching will be very effective because we've missed a lot during our stay at home. We've missed a lot during the break from school. So we need to have effective teaching so that we'll catch up with what we've missed. And also to add to what Salimat had said, being at home, we are technologically inclined. Like most of us used to spend more time on our phones because we had less monitoring, and also we spent more time idling around. So I feel it's best to reopening the schools, and when we go back to school, we expect that everything is being put in place so that we don't get affected by the coronavirus, and also the teaching will be very effective so that we'll cover up all what we've missed during the break from school.
Okay. So yeah, so there is a lot you guys are saying to us who are parents that when you are not in school, parents have to pay attention, and that we have to continue to guide you. So that makes me to bring in the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Honorable Dr. David Moinina Senge. So, Minister, what do you think, in your own opinion, are some of the impacts of the long periods of no school, and what are some of the plans the ministry has to mitigate some of those problems if they ever occur?
Yeah, well, you mean as schools are opening now? I mean, I think I do have tremendous confidence in our children, in our kids. When we're opening schools, for partial reopening of schools, I remember people saying, and I said that I think these guys are going to do well, if not better than other people. The media said, "Why do I believe this?" The kids. So I'm a true believer in the ability of our kids and then an inspired generation. So I think the commitments that they're making, hearing these two advocates talk about the need to ensure that they follow COVID prevention guidelines, that they're wearing masks, they are why I believe that those challenges that we anticipate will be there, but they will be mitigated and solved by collective action driven by the pupils. There are 2.6 million pupils who go to school, 80,000 teachers. You have more pupils who have to take responsible action than teachers. There's only one minister and a couple hundred staff at the ministry. So if we're going to fight and address and solve these problems, Salimata, and everybody else around who will wear uniforms are the ones who are going to have to solve the problems and be the champions of change and be the agents of change. Listening to Teresa, I think we have to be clever and about how we maintain physical distancing, about how we ensure that the numbers of kids we have are more than classrooms we have. So it's a problem that exists. We're aware of these problems. And the question really is, how do we as teachers and service providers solve these problems? We can't, I can ask Suleiman to say, Suleiman, we need to build many more classrooms. And he will say yes, but it takes time to build classrooms, right? And we're working on that.
It takes time to build classrooms, even if we are to get all the money today.
Exactly. And so we have to figure out a way in which we mitigate the transmission in schools, and when it occurs, we can quickly stop it. Use 117, use the resources, the IEC, the information communication materials that exist, and be agents of change really to our parents. And I think one of the ladies was saying that it's difficult for their parents to provide care, provide learning support. And I think this is really critical, that we are only going to be able to solve those challenges if parents also have their hands on deck and are going to contribute to ensuring that their children wash their hands before they leave home, wash their hands when they come back from school, making sure they're washing their masks, making sure that they have masks before the child leaves your house. So do you have your mask? And even have an extra mask in the bag. All of that, we as parents have to take those responsibilities for. So as parents, teachers, us as a ministry, in terms of what we are doing and making sure that resources are there to support teachers and school administration. Yes. See, I don't like so I disagree with the framework of those questions anyway. It's a framework that talks about the inspectorate, the colonial mentality of there's a boss who has to enforce and make sure, whip you to make sure that you deliver what you need to deliver. The old teacher of the year has a big cane, and if a child is defaulting, you smack them, and that's how you can enforce, right? My approach is that I put the leadership back into the hands of the kids. They have to take responsibility. The teachers have to take responsibility. The school management has to take responsibility. The parents have to take responsibility. Government cannot enforce. We have 11,168 schools. We just hired 120 supervisors. I have 16 deputy district directors. There is no way the deputy district directors who will be doing monitoring, I will be on the field myself. I'll go to monitoring next week with our partners. I will be there, and I have continued doing monitoring. I'm not going to go to every school. You are not. It's not possible. And so those people who ask, it's also their responsibility to make sure that those activities happen. It takes a country. It doesn't take a village to raise a child. It takes a country to raise a child. So let's raise our children how we want them to how we want to see them in society. And Sierra Leone has done really well, tremendously well in our fight and response to COVID. Really, really well. Before we had our first cases, high numbers of people knew what the symptoms were. Many people were already doing preventive measures. When we want to, when we need to, we can fight and beat these things. We did that in Ebola. We've done that and managed it well in COVID, and COVID is still here, but we're doing well. We're controlling it. And so it's back to the people. The people have the capacity to deliver and the responsibility to deliver.
I think, yes, definitely you are on point with that, Minister. And all of us have to take responsibility. So hopefully our parents and people in the community are hearing you. And so I want to talk to Dr. Suleiman Brimo again. Dr. Brimo, if I can bring you in, what are some of the, the broader child protection issues that teachers are supposed to be thinking about as schools reopen? Dr. Brimo, are you there? Okay. So
I'm trying to. Sorry, I was muted. I was trying to unmute now.
Okay, sir. So you got the question, right?
Yes, I got the question. I think the broader child protection issues you're talking about are very strongly related to some of the reasons why, some of the reasons I provided initially for why we have to get schools to reopen. Now, I think it was a year now, if I'm right, who mentioned initially that one of the challenges they had in school, at home, is that they were not getting the type of supervision they get in school at home. Now, I think one of the things that needs to be made very clear is that it's not that parents don't want to supervise their children, no. It's not that parents don't want to help their children to learn, no. But the critical question is in how many households are the parents in a position to really help those children in that direction? There are very many households where that is not the case. So what happens is that of all the things we are talking about, sometimes in some certain households, in certain contexts, it turns out that teachers, school management personnel, and other people who support the attendance in school of children, they are sometimes the only trusted adult. They provide the context for the first and only, or the only trusted adults outside immediate families to whom children can confide. So you then discover that when we started talking about things like challenges children face with respect to teen pregnancy, with respect to exploitation, with respect to violence, with respect to abuse, you then discover that many of these things are detected right at the school level, in spite of the fact that they happen in the communities. So that is one of the major aspects of major issues that relate to the protection of children that we are going to be making some gains on when schools reopen. In effect, we can say that teachers have a major role to play in identifying any signs of abuse, exploitation, name it, in any way whatsoever. So it's important that that's one way teachers and schools help. Another broader aspect that we can think about has to do with the fact that teachers and schools, we alluded to that initially when we were talking about why we open school and why we should open schools, is that teachers always, in many instances, help to establish a healthy routine. So that establishment of healthy routine plays significant roles and important aspects in helping children to fight elements of protection or encroachment on their protection in ways that cannot happen when schools are not open.
Right.
So in other words, we are saying that teachers should actually pay attention. We are going to, the ministry is supporting the teachers to do that and train via training and resources available. UNICEF is also supporting the ministry and the government in that area. For teachers to pay, and school personnel, not just teachers, school personnel in general also, to pay special attention, a very, very important attention to children, particularly who have lost a parent or a caregiver. Those children are usually susceptible to abuse, and or if not a question of losing parents directly or indirectly, but also they may have been affected one way or the other by, or parents who may have been affected one way or the other by COVID-19.
Right.
We also in schools have the opportunities to pay attention to children who are actually with disabilities and give special attention to female students also. So all these are some of the broader child protection issues that relate to the opening of schools, and that is why it's important that teachers continue to be empowered to make sure that all these elements of protection are in place and that children do benefit from them.
All right, that is Dr. Brimo. Of course, you are watching a live panel discussion on Facebook about school reopening in Sierra Leone, put together by the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education in collaboration with UNICEF. We are going to play a short video here that was put together by NACOVAC regarding all of what we are talking about here. And then after that, we'll come back to the second segment of our conversation as we discuss the school reopening and some of the safety protocols. Stick around with us. Okay, so let me...
Hey Vicky, come back, come. Waiting at the 3 thing the way I tell you for do.
washing my hands with soap and water frequently, keeping safe distance from others, and wearing a cloth mask whenever I leave the house.
So wear your face mask.
Do
ya? No touch am. No let nobody. Now you no more for user. You hear me?
Okay, ma.
Love you.
Bye-bye. Wilma!
Hello? Are you kidding me?
What? What is it?
Haven't you heard about keeping a safe distance from each other in and out of school?
Oh yes, we should keep at least 1 meter or arm's length from each other. That shows that we really care about each other and want each other to be safe.
Okay. True friends protect each other.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Leonus?
What do you mean?
Hold it right there. Can anyone tell me what Leonus is doing wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Wilma?
All right, welcome again to our Facebook Live panel discussion here at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, a program put together by the Ministry and UNICEF to talk exclusively about a school reopening in Sierra Leone that occurs on the 5th of October 2020, which is this coming Monday. And so to continue with the conversation, I will now talk to the Honorable Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Honorable Dr. David Moinina Senge, to give us again another rundown of the school reopening guidelines, and particularly to talk to us about some of the specific prevention measures we've put in place to stop any transmission of COVID-19 in the schools. Mr. Minister?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so the school reopening guidelines is done with all stakeholders, and we mentioned we had three goals. And those 3 goals were to prevent COVID transmission, to quickly respond and mitigate onward transmission, and to communicate with everybody. And we broke down those into prevention and into response and mitigation of onward transmission. So some specific prevention is that all children in primary school and secondary school are required to wear face coverings, face masks, while on the bus or at school, and they must adhere to national face mask guidelines. Preschool children who are not required to wear masks because they are under 5, or they're 5 and below, usually class 1 starts at 6. And children with known medical conditions must indicate this to the school administration for exemption and other precautionary measures. Parents have to provide masks, and the ministry just launched the Make Your Masks Challenge, and teachers are required to enforce mask wearing on the school grounds and in classrooms. Everybody on the school campus, adults, all teachers, care providers, and staff must wear face masks as well. Food vendors in the school must wear face masks and be subjected to temperature checks. Hand washing stations should be provided at those locations where food are. Physical distance maintained. Limited number of vendors are present. Everybody should wash their hands. Use alcohol-based sanitizers when entering the school facilities, and no visits to schools. And exemptions to this must be sought from the principal. We don't want visitors and all visitors who go to school must also undergo these temperature checks. There are 2 teachers who have been trained on school reopening protocol, and one of them must always be present at every point in time. And we are limiting interactions between classes, and so mingling with adults, with students is strictly limited on a need-to basis for teaching, care provision. And where there are JSS and SSS in the same school, they go to lunch breaks at different times. JSS goes to different lunch, SS goes to different lunch. School shift systems remain the same. And we're working with teachers and schools to limit class sizes, particularly for Form 1. And we are encouraging outdoor activities for proper ventilation and airflow should happen. This is important. No school gatherings, including school assemblies or prayers. At a school level, no activity should bring the entire school together. Assemblies must be only at class level. This means no Thanksgivings, prize giving, sports meets, and everything. And we will clean the regular should take regularly, and the buses will be cleaned regularly. And people who fail temperature checks, unless they have diagnosis of fever or something, are not allowed to go. They should stay home, call 117, and all other preventions. In terms of the response and mitigation, the schools have to maintain an active list of all parents and guardians of all staff. So we invite parents to provide for their children their contact lists, contact addresses, contact numbers for all children. We will keep monitoring daily attendance of all children and the reasons, including for teachers. We will ensure that if kids take COVID tests, they have to communicate that back to the schools. And there are very clear guidelines on when we can close classes or schools. Only national closures will be communicated by NACOVAC, and all school-related incidences will happen at school level, and that will be communicated in real time. And so we invite parents to ask their children daily, regularly, about updates on COVID when the kids get home, and to listen to education radio. I think those are the general things, and for specifics into these guidelines, the school reopening guideline, they will be popularized. The communications unit of the ministry will go and work with partners to ensure that everybody has access to these, and they are on our website as well.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for that. And so the ministry will also, the communications unit will be doing more on that to get the message to the people out there. So, Dr. Brimo, one question I have for you, that is my last question for you in this segment, is that what options are UNICEF proposing to ensure that children are supported to get back on track after being away for so long from school?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think one of the things that we need to, that question itself presupposes that something has been lost, because you're talking about what they will be supported with to get when they get back to school. Do not forget that while children were out of school, UNICEF supported, as a member, but basically as a member of the Education Emergency Task Force of Sierra Leone, UNICEF supported the government, particularly through the Ministry of Education, to ensure that students continue to learn during the period. One way UNICEF provided that support was through the reactivation of the radio learning platform. You will recall that that was set up with UNICEF support during the Ebola period. Now, it's important that until things normalize themselves, or things are normalized when students get back to school, that platform will continue. UNICEF intends to make it to continue with the support to make sure that that platform continues to be in place, basically as an important channel to reach students with catch-up and remedial lessons. That's an important part. Now, the second part we are trying to work on is that do not forget that the COVID-19 experience is new for everybody, both with respect, for development practitioners, children, parents, governments, you name it. So, and the short-term, medium, long-term impacts are still not very, very clear. And we need stronger knowledge and understanding of those issues. So one of the things UNICEF is going to be doing in supporting the educational system and students and children when they get back to school, going back to school, is an assessment of the effects of COVID-19 on learning outcomes and the educational gaps that exist in Sierra Leone. Now, based on that, we will be able to tailor the type of support we provide with respect to individual needs. And the ultimate goal is for us to ensure that every single child learns, that every single child has access to school-based, health, hygiene, nutrition services, the full works. The one thing that's important to mention, and it's very, very important, is that in this particular context, water and hygiene facilities are extremely critical and important. That is the context of the safe reopening of schools.
Right.
One of the things we have done, I think you are aware of this, that with support from Irish Aid, UNICEF has so far been able to distribute nearly 2,500 hand washing stations to about 1,100 or 1,200, about 1,200 government and government-assisted primary schools across the country, with particular emphasis on 8 districts. So one of the things we can say is that when we take this with the distributed, when we take the hand stations, students and teachers, we believe, and we are going to support that also, will continue to receive information in the right steps. That's important that we mentioned, that the right steps to take in washing their hands and in the practice of safety protocols. Those are the critical issues that we pay attention to, and they need to be consistently wearing masks. The Honorable Minister mentioned that, and it's not just students alone that need to do that. Students, teachers have to be involved, and the whole concept of social distancing has to be fully maintained. Now, all these are areas for support for UNICEF, and will certainly be moving very aggressively to support the Ministry of Education to make sure that these are in place and any gaps are promptly identified and supported. Now, the final point to be made here is that we still have resource challenges. The government has resource challenges, so we are going to be reaching out to our partners and working with government to see how we can mobilize more resources that are needed to make sure that all these support measures for effectively and safely going back to school are adequately addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brimo. And so we are almost at the end of this broadcast today, or the live Facebook live session. So, Salamatu, let me bring you in quickly for just a few seconds. What can you tell us as some of the things you think as a pupil you will do to ensure that everybody keeps to the school guidelines, I mean the school reopening guidelines? Like, what are some of the things as a student you would do in school?
To put on mask always whenever you're in the school or outside the school, and always wash your hands before entering the school and even after. Even when you want to leave your home, you should wash your hands. And also maintain the social distance and things like that, and so on.
Okay. And Yelena, what will you do? We can hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. I'll try protecting my colleagues, as in tell them what and when to do certain things that will protect them from the coronavirus. And also, I'll try preventing myself as well from the virus by always keeping that 6 feet, and also washing my hands and putting my face mask on always, and try to admonish others as well to follow all these guidelines. And I don't know if this is my last question for today, but I also want to say that it's a pleasure meeting with Honorable Minister and Dr. Brimo rather, with the efforts you're both putting in together with Mrs. Teresa Sako. We hope to go back to school and prevent ourselves from the virus and also follow all those guidelines and learn as well. Truly, though it's on a video conversation, it's a pleasure meeting with you, Honorable Minister.
All right. And so the Sierra Leone Teachers Union, Teresa Agnes, what are some of the things you would think teachers would do to ensure that our schools are safe?
Yeah, thank you. If you can remember when school opened a month ago, for us to have the primary, the class 6, the JSS, and the SS, teachers have put in a lot to make sure things work. And we promise also to be doing that, to make sure, like what my little kids here are saying, my ladies here are saying, that we make sure that all the COVID-19 restrictions are put in place. We keep on teaching them, keep on preaching to them to make sure they do the right thing, so that we'll continue to have 0 cases in all schools across the country. Teachers are willing and teachers are eager and teachers are looking forward to October 5, because we know our kids have lost a lot and we are ready to make sure that education is up there, and also to make sure kids and teachers, parents, and even the neighbors abide to the restrictions of the COVID-19.
Yes, and I will add by saying that the government, through the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, together with partners like UNICEF, they have done quite a lot of preparations to ensure that our schools are safe when children return on Monday. So parents must feel confident to send the children back to school, that the schools are safe, and of course, they should not forget to play their own part. We want children to remember to participate in the Make My Own Mask Challenge, SL. You can participate by just making your own mask and following these guidelines. You have to make a mask that fits tightly and comfortably against the side of your face. It has to be a face mask that completely covers the nose and mouth, that is secured with ties or ear loops, and that allows for breathing without restriction, and can be laundered and machine dried without damage or change to the shape. And once you make that mask, you wear it, you take a picture of it, you can post that picture on our Facebook with a hashtag MyMaskChallengeSL, or you can send it to our WhatsApp with a number 077 935 602. 077 935 602. At the end of the day, we have people who are going to look at these face masks, the ones that we are going to receive without bias, without favor, and they are going to choose the cutest ones, the best ones. And once you win, you will have the opportunity to sit down and eat lunch with the Honorable Minister, and if possible with Dr. Brimo, just to appreciate your effort. We want all children to have their face masks on when schools reopen. And once more, I want to take this opportunity to say a lot of thanks and appreciation to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, to UNICEF, and specifically to our panelists, Salamata England, thank you very much. And of course, Yelena Ruko Bai Kamara, we want to say a lot of thanks to you for participating. Teresa Agnes Sako of the Sierra Leone Teachers Union, thank you very much. And of course, to Dr. Suleiman Brimo, thank you for your participation. And to our Honorable Minister, Dr. David Moinina Senge, we want to say a lot of thank you to you for your participation today. A lot of good information has been shared, and we believe that our parents, our guardians, and communities will take them to advisement. Once more, my name is Ibrahim Sheriff. I am the Communication Specialist for the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. This was put together with the collaboration of UNICEF and of course with Tapua, who is the communications person at UNICEF. Thank you very much, everybody.
Welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. You are now off air.
Hey Vicky, come back, come. Wetin are the 3 things the way I tell you for do?
Washing my hands with soap and water frequently, keeping safe distance from others, and wearing a cloth mask whenever I leave the house.
So where you face mask?
Eee.
Do ya? Not touch am. Not let nobody. Now you no more for use am. You hear me?
Okay, ma.
Love you.
Bye-bye. Wilma!
Hello? Are you kidding me?
What? What is it?
Haven't you heard about keeping a safe distance from each other in and out of school?
Oh yes, we should keep at least 1 meter or arm's length from each other. That shows that we really care about each other and want each other to be safe.
Okay. True friends protect each other.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.